right on the side of us. You could kind of see the thing moving through the woods.
All I can remember is flipping the light on, and I see this creature, and I knew in my heart, I knew in my mind, in the whole night, this isn't a man.
And then this thing walks across the road, takes a turn towards us, and then leaps over a guardrail.
Went to look forward, and there was a big black thing.
Welcome to Squatch-D TV, exploring the Bigfoot mystery each week with your hosts, veteran researcher, author, and TV personality, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls, and from the Bigfoot Research Project of Kentucky, Chris Bennett. Sit back and buckle up as we bring you guests from around North America discussing the Bigfoot phenomena, but not without a few laughs, too. Here are your hosts, Steve and Chris.
And good evening, cyberspace. Welcome to Squatch-D TV for today's date, October 30th, 2022. I'm your host, your guide, the Squatch Detective, Steve Kulls. Well, we'll change the format today. I am not your host tonight. I am going to be, I'm still recuperating. But we have, of course, my co-host, Mr. Chris Bennett, down there.
Hey, Steve.
And
man,
just below him is our guest co-host, Joe Snyder from the Western New York Bigfoot Investigation Group. And I want to say hi to everybody. I'm doing wonderful. Hopefully I'll be back next week and doing well. And I'm going to get off here and let you guys do the show. So.
All right.
Get feeling better, Steve.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. He'll be back to his old self and out in the woods and yeah, doing that fun stuff, man. So how you been, Chris?
Pretty good. Joe, you been hanging in there, bud?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I was really honored that Steve got a hold of me and asked me to do this. And I was like, absolutely, man. He was like, you can promote your show. And I said, well, I don't know about that, but
glad to have you.
Yeah. Hey, why don't we do a traditional thing and we're going to hit the roll call. How about that?
Yes, sir.
And we'll say hello to Mr. Brian McMahon.
Brian, good to see you, bud.
Yeah. We got Angel Nolan.
Angel.
Patrick Cassidy, welcome. Uncle Bones 2. There he is. Hey.
Uncle Bones.
Frank Smith, hello, sir. Glad to see you. And Jay Fritz. What's up, you old dog?
Hey, Jay.
Good friend of mine. We got Mr. Fuller Donald. What's up, Donald? Hello, sir.
Welcome.
And who else is in here? Stephen Barcello.
I think, or maybe Barcello, yeah.
Yeah. And hey, there's Leon.
See you, Steve.
Bigfoot Okanagan. What's up, Leon?
Hey, Leon? Good to see you, bud.
Mary Roller. Hello, Mary.
Arthur. Good to see you, Arthur. There's Jen. Hi, Jen.
Mr. Lee 3PO.
3PO.
How's it going, man? Judy Wheeler.
Daniel Weeks. Hi, Daniel.
Well, we got everybody going
Michael.
through here now, huh? Cool.
Yeah, it keeps jumping on me, Joe. I
That's
see
all
Michael
right.
Haywood. Judy Wheeler.
Yep,
Hi,
there's
Judy.
Mr. Haywood. There's Mr. Haywood. Hey, there's Nikki from Harry Man Hopes and Hoodwinks.
Hey, Nikki.
She had a fun show tonight. It was fun. It was fun.
Sandra Piper.
Doing...
Sandra.
Hi, Sandra. Jen. What's up, Jen? Brandy, hello.
Bye, Stu. It says Yo Joe.
Yeah, he flew by so fast last night, I didn't even see him. Yeah. Sugar Britches. What's up, Sugar Britches? Welcome.
Sugar Britches. Welcome.
DM Zabo.
John Bush. Hey, John. Grasshopper. Hey, Grasshopper.
Grasshopper. Well, cool.
God,
I am
hope
so
we
glad.
hadn't missed anybody. There's Sharon. Hi, Sharon. There's Brandy.
I think we got everybody so far.
I think that's everybody. DM Zabo.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Wow.
DMZ
Man, so...
ABO. Okay.
Yeah. So hey, man, this guest host thing, it's pretty cool, man.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I think. Well, I'm tickled to death to have you here, Joe. Really am, because I don't know what I'd do without Steve if I didn't have you here. Because I can't do this.
Sure you could, man. You got the personality for it.
But everybody, I think we got everybody in chat. If we didn't, if we miss you, it's not because we don't love you. It's just because it's kind of jumping around a little bit. But,
yeah.
But we want to say hello to everybody. Good to see you. And we're tickled to death to have you with us tonight.
And smart people too, man.
Yeah.
They're smart people. And I like smart people. I love smart people.
Dude, our listeners and everybody in the chat, they make this show. I mean, they make the show. They come up with so many questions. It's like, dude, everybody over here thinks out of the box. They're like, they'll pop up, well, what about this? Or something like that. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And,
was it the topic you wanted to talk about tonight, Joe?
Well, I mean, I've been, among a group, we've been out there with some shows and trying to show people about critical thinking and, and etc. We've been doing those shows, and some of them we've called out outright BS, right? So I got to thinking, there was a few comments, some people are like, well, what's worse? Why all the negativity, and I mean, of course, I don't view it as that. I view it as trying to put out good information, but I thought I'd do something positive. There's a lot of positivity about Bigfoot too, man. So, I thought about, what has Bigfoot done for me lately?
Mm-hmm.
And I can tell you right now, Bigfoot has done a lot for me. Now, it hasn't made me rich, hasn't made me famous, hasn't even made me well liked, but it has given me a lot of good friends.
Yeah.
Half the people I know probably now, I would not know them if it wasn't for Sasquatch. I wouldn't know them. I wouldn't know them. I wouldn't know people like Steve. And, in a short time, within 2 years, I think, I feel like, me and Steve become pretty good friends. I'm part of the team with him, and he's a good investigator. I mean, great guy, and he's got really good taste too. I mean, he knows, who to call, when he needs somebody to, guest host. Got real good taste. But yeah, and I mean, oh God, I
I
can
don't
go
know.
down the list.
I'm questioning his taste of co-hosts over the past several years, but other than that, he's pretty good guy.
Well, then he finally settled on the right one, right? Yeah. But yeah, and I can go down the list. Leon Thompson from Bigfoot Okanagan.
Yeah.
Nikki from Hairy Man Hoax and Hoodwinks. Brent Dill from Tall Ones. It lots of people,
Oh yeah.
And the list is actually pretty long. I mean, I can't sit here because the whole show would be me, an hour and a half from now going, yeah, and Fred and Bob and
I understand. You
But-
can't mention everybody, but the whole idea is there's a whole community of good people that you've got to know
Absolutely.
because of Bigfoot. I can understand and relate to that.
Absolutely. So that's one of the things Sasquatch has done for me. I mean, I didn't realize just how lonely it was back when I was doing it all by myself, staying under the radar. Nobody knew who the hell I was and what I was doing out there searching for Sasquatch, right? About the only people ever knew or people that I would talk to that would tell me, well, yeah, I had an encounter or this or that. Of course, that wasn't like that to begin with. When I first started, I was just a little wee tad, man. All I was doing was running around the forest looking for footprints and trying to see if I could see a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
But it's all the people, man. It's an amazing group of people that you can end up meeting, and they're good people, man. And that's one of the things, Sasquatch has done that for me. It has enriched my life that way. The other thing it's done is it's given, believe it or not, I mean, and I've spent a lot of time out in the forest, I love camping, all that kind of stuff, outdoorsy stuff. But it actually ended up giving me a new appreciation of the forest too.
Oh yeah.
And I guess that's because in a way it then made the forest even more interesting than it already was.
Well, yeah, it's certainly an eye opener once you figure out that we're not alone in the forest.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Even before I ever encountered one, just the thought and the fascination that wow, there could be this bipedal human ape type thing, man. Because back in the day, man, they were like the missing link, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, Sasquatch is the missing link. And that's before they realized that linear way of thinking of evolution was wrong.
Right.
But
everything changed. Yeah.
Yeah. But the damn, man, I just forgot myself. I just lost my train of thought again.
Well, I mean, you jumped on a good subject
Oh,
there.
yeah.
When they
So that was the thing, just the fascination of it, Chris.
Right.
Of something out there maybe being out there. Yeah, it kind of gives you a new appreciation of the whole thing, man.
It certainly
Then
changes the way somebody views their wilderness activities. Before I wouldn't think nothing about going into the woods camping. That's fine by me. And still to this day, I might do it in some areas, but if it was, if I had my choice, if I go camping and go to sleep in a tent in a Bigfoot area or a place that had sightings, I'd rather not. I'm just not interested in it. Not that I'm afraid that they would carry me off because they wouldn't want me, but just don't feel comfortable out there.
Yeah, well, and I've been in some areas where oh, I want to go camping here. I want to go camping here, and then when you get there, it's like for no good reason that you can think of, or at least in my case, it was actually this place in one of the state forests here, and I was hiking up the trail, and there was a place that was actually called Grandma's Camp.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, going camping in Grandma's camp. But when I got there, it was like, yeah, I was uneasy, right? It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to camp here. I don't want to camp. For some reason, I don't want to camp here.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. Is that Sasquatch? Is it just me creeping myself out? Maybe the area was just creepy.
You know, just you gotta kind of expect that your views on things have changed a little bit since you had an experience that was a little bit different
lot.
than the average person. And
A lot. And
and
that's the other thing. Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss. You know, it really is.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. But you know what? And what you just pointed out, I mean, in that way too, that's what Sasquatch has done for me. Because since I have had an encounter with, well, that's the only thing I can call it. Somebody goes, "Are you sure it was a Sasquatch?" And I'm like, well, what else would I have called it, man? I mean, it didn't wear any clothes. It was, like 7.5, maybe 8 foot tall. And it was covered in long black hair. And, I mean, what else are you going to call that, man? I mean,
That's the thing, that's all you can say, Joe, is after you describe it to them, you just say, "Are you?" And if they say, "Are you sure it was a Sasquatch?" You can just say, "Well, what else have you got?" I'm all ears. What have
yeah,
you
I'm
got
out
that
of
it could
options,
also
man.
be?
I'm out of options. Right after you go, nope, it wasn't a black bear. I mean, well, I'm out of options then, man, because you know. But it's given me a new appreciation of what actually is in life,
Right.
So that's another thing that Sasquatch has done for me. It gave me new stuff to think about too. Like, I mean, it gave me new things and ideas, right? Like I do podcasts now. Come on, man. Back when I started this, would I ever thought, man, someday I'm going to be on the internet on a podcast talking about Bigfoot and having a show and this and that? No, hell no. Hell no. But it's fun, right? So Sasquatch has brought me a lot of fun, you know?
Yeah.
So, there are a lot of positives. Hey, Mike, what's up? Tactical Bigfoot Research.
In the house. Yeah.
Oh, he said hello, Chris. He
My
didn't say
eyes came
hello to
in.
me, though.
Arkell Salisbury Lockbeard. Okay.
Hey, Lockbeard. Yeah.
People still coming
Mike,
in. Welcome. Good to see you guys and girls.
Yeah. I just wanted to say to Mike, it's actually, Mike, it's hello, Chris and Joe. Right? Okay.
Well, he was probably saying hello to Chris and probably Emma and Chris in the chat room there. I don't know. I was saying hello to Mike anyway.
There he goes. Hello, Joe.
But yeah, Joe, I'm right with you, man. I mean, Bigfoot has not made me any money. On the contrary, it has lost me money.
It's invested in stuff. Money. Yeah.
Yeah. I've invested in stuff that I normally wouldn't have invested in because of this this research, and that's one thing. I haven't made any money off of this, but I've lost quite a bit. But the friends, I mean, it's not like I've got 5 billion friends, but I have made a group of friends that are interested in the same thing that I am, and that is seeking answers, to what the heck is this thing, and that means a lot, And some of the guys like you has had an experience that can relate to some, to some of the other people that it's like had the same similar experience.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean, that's why I still find encounters intriguing.
Yeah.
I mean, some people I know, I've seen comments like, it's like, well, I don't want to just listen to encounter stories, and I get it. If you want to, if you want to be an investigator or researcher, you're going to be doing more than just listening to encounters. But I like to listen to them because, you know, there are credible encounters out there, man. And I'm not saying that everybody's, you know, there could be people that make up stories or just outright just lie to you, but there's a lot of people out there, I believe anyway, you know, that are credible and have had credible sightings. And I like listening to those encounters. And seeing what kind of, because that's how you form a correlation between, you know, what are people seeing, you know, and then
Right.
you know, you put those common threads together, right?
Right.
So
And to me, I think it's more important of if you listen to somebody's encounter uh, and listen to the details closely, and you know, grab on and really latch on to what relates. Like if
yeah,
you've had your own sighting or encounter or whatever, and something happened to you, something physical, or you saw something, and then this other person who has no idea what you saw or heard starts relating to you the same exact thing.
right,
You know, that really means a lot to me, and that means, well, hey, maybe these two traits could be related to these creatures because this guy heard something and I heard something, you know, the same exact thing. And you know, you start getting more of those, you know, and you get a third guy. Well, you know, when I something buzzed my ear, you know, or just as an example, and it starts adding up a little bit. Like, okay, this could be something that they do on a regular basis. You know, not just a one-off thing, or maybe you know your imagination something happened to you.
yeah, yeah. Well, I find it interesting again too is when I'm listening to these, and I've heard a couple of them in the past, in just the recent past. Um, People that don't know me and I don't know them,
Yeah.
and they're recounting a encounter they had and their description of what they saw, and I'm talking these are close up encounters like I had, you know, they're like
Right.
mere feet away, right?
Yeah.
And they end up describing something that comes incredibly close to the description that I give of Rasta.
Right.
Now, sometimes the hair's different color, but it's usually the same length as what I saw. There was one encounter, and I'm like, I think it's credible. I find it credible. Guy was telling about when he was 18, he had some friends with him, and they were near this creek. And long story short, I can't tell the thing like he did, but this thing was standing across the creek from them, and the way he described it was almost the same dimensions um, as Rasta,
Right.
the same kind of hair um, description as Rasta, except for uh, the hair on the one that he saw where he was at was if I if I'm correct, he said kind of a like a orangish kind of color.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but other than that, the way he described it and the face. Now he didn't describe the face that well. That's right. He said that he couldn't see the face very well because the hair was hanging in front of the face as well, which I found extremely interesting because that's what Rasta. I mean, his hair was hanging in front of his face too. Difference was I could actually see his face though. But apparently, this one he saw had so much that he couldn't really see the face. But so I found that real interesting. You know, I'm like, wow, this guy's from, and I forget what state he's from, but or was in, but and I've heard a couple like that. They describe the same, almost the same thing as what I saw, and you know, so when people, I mean, how do you explain that? People that don't know each other, well, they must have seen
Right.
something,
Yeah.
you know, and what they
Yeah.
saw was very similar, you know.
Yeah. Well, in most cases, you know, people describe a similar creature, you know, whatever it is that they're seeing, and it's, you know, in each case, it's definitely man-like. meaning it's standing up, walking around on two legs, and it has shoulders.
Yeah.
And they definitely hairy. So we got something walking around on two legs with shoulders, not a bear on its hind legs, because you could see the snout if it was a bear.
Yeah.
And that's why another thing. I think dog man is a lot of times a misidentification of somebody see a bear on two legs. I think, but now that's just a personal opinion too.
Could be.
I've not seen a dog man.
And and some of the people that are really earnest, like, I mean, everybody knows how vocal I am about the fact that I lack, and I love saying this because it is actually what it is I lack a belief in dog man. And there's lots of reasons why. First, being that there's no precedence for it in evolution whatsoever. There's no biological need for a canine to develop. But anyway, for people that are earnest,
the biology for a canine on two legs doesn't work because there's nothing to support. It's got that backwards joint at the bottom, and that would not support weight for any particular amount of time standing on two legs.
Yeah. But the people really who are earnest that they've seen one, those people that are really earnest that I have, and I can say I've actually heard some that I thought, no, they really saw something. Do I think they saw a dog man? No, I think they mistook a Bigfoot for a dog man. That's where my mind goes automatically.
Very possible, yeah. That's the thing, with some of these sighting reports of the Bigfoot creatures, they would have like a protruding mouth, similar to that of an orangutan. So, that very well may be people mistaking that for a muzzle,
Could be.
But,
could be. Yeah, I've always wondered that about Sasquatch. I mean, we got it. Well, like I mentioned the other day, really the thing is, the task is, all this stuff is fun to talk about, right, Chris? But
yeah,
I mean, we still have to prove that it exists first. But yeah, I'm wondering if some of them could be more prognostic than others. Maybe the shape of their jaw and the way they're, I'm wondering if that accounts for some of the differences.
I believe you 100%, Joe. I think they may be their looks may differ just as much as humans. No two humans look the same. Of course, unless they're twins.
Yeah.
But
even if you're talking about ancient species, Chris, I mean, I imagine anyway. I mean, I can't say this for a fact because I wasn't there to see it, but I imagine no two Homo erectus looked exactly alike.
Right.
No two Neanderthals looked exactly alike.
Yeah.
Yeah. So why would Sasquatch, which we believe is a large primate of probably the great ape group, just like the rest of us are, the great ape family, why wouldn't they have just as much variation? Right.
You wouldn't expect them to be identical. They would have a lot of variation of facial features and physical features too. But now some of the stuff would be the same, like maybe they'd all be hairy. Okay, but
absolutely. Well, look at where they, well, I guess down south, right? Down south they have a little less hair because it's hotter. Because I know the ones in the northern climes seem to have the most hair when they're described. Of course,
I don't know.
adapting to an environment,
it would seem, now I don't know that maybe someday after we have one in captivity or we have a body and they can start locating them and doing studies, we'll figure out that their hair quantity or quality might move or might be different from northern latitudes to the southern. But some of the reports, though, people talk about they're furry. They have short fur or hair, and other ones is long hair. Like even on the arms, they'll have a lengthy hair. So
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I'd like to have one on record
Well,
that we could actually check out.
right. Right. Now, I would tend to think that they would have very similar to us. They would have hair lengths varying over their entire body, you know. Like
Right.
with Rasta, his hair was long on his head down to his shoulders, and his hair on his shoulders was pretty long.
Right.
But like on his bicep, and it was shorter, you know. And then on his arms, it looked longer on his forearm.
Right. Yeah.
You know, again, so it was like it's hard to describe. I wish somebody had been there with me.
Yeah.
To see this thing, man. It's hard to describe, but yeah. I mean, I think I'm painting a good enough picture.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, there's so many different descriptions, and people, not too many people get a look at the face because
yeah. Well, because a lot of them see them when they're going away, right?
Yeah, they get a profile view or the backside view, but very few
Right.
see them right, you know, eyeball to eyeball, you know.
Mhm.
And but those that do, you know, will report. Some of them will say the face didn't have any hair, you know, around the eyes or around the nose, and they could make
Right.
out the features of the nose and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then there's other reports that, well, the hair was covered, you know, more or less covers the entire face, and
Mhm.
they couldn't make out any features because of that. And so, yeah, I think just like people, you know, I think no two would ever have looked exactly the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's
That's
see
the
what's
other
going
thing is
on in chat
Sasquatch
over
has
here,
done.
guys.
It's made me think about stuff that I would have never thought about, right? So like
Yeah.
I've always kind of been into anthropology, you know, ever since I was young. But just the whole Sasquatch thing has made me even more interested in it. Donald says, how can we tell if they have less hair? We can't go off from any pics. Most are pareidolia hooves.
Yeah, I agree, Donald.
Yeah, good
You
point.
can't really
You
tell,
know,
especially if it's a blob squatch. You know?
well, that's the damn thing about it, man, is that, you know, there might be some pictures out there that might actually be Sasquatch, but the problem is the picture's so crappy, you can't tell.
Yeah.
You know, but it might actually be one, but you can't say, well, it is, you know,
Right.
because I'm sorry, you don't know how to focus a camera, or you know, I mean, it's like, man, why can't anybody focus a
Well,
camera?
you know, I'm sure
I'm
it's
no
not
good with a
easy, but
camera, but
I'll
I
tell you
can
what,
focus one.
that's a question though. You know, I believe with all these game trail cams and stuff out there, we should be having more pictures of these things out. You know, and not
Yeah.
the fuzzy, blobby photos either, because you know some of those
Yeah.
game cams are really nice. You know, you get like
Oh, absolutely,
4K
absolutely.
resolution or even higher now.
Yeah. Yeah, the game cam thing, man, I don't know what to think about that. Why can't we get any on there? I mean, there may be, it just may be that, yeah, they're, now, the way I've always thought is, yeah, they're intelligent. I believe they're intelligent. Some
Yeah.
people say they're smarter than us. They think they're smarter than us. I don't believe that at all. I believe they're smarter than your average bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're smarter than
Well,
a gorilla.
I think they're smarter than us in the woods. In their
Well, yeah,
environment,
I
they're
mean, they're
smarter
more
than we are.
skilled. They're more
Yeah.
skilled. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, I with the game, but their intelligence level is enough that I really truly like. You can get pictures of bears and deer and stuff, and they
Right.
sometimes look right at the camera, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's because they're not that smart. Right? I
Right.
mean, they're not as smart as us or other higher evolved animals. Bigfoot is smart enough, I think, to recognize, even if he doesn't know what the hell the camera does, it knows it's something foreign. And hell, I don't know. Maybe it even saw you put it on the fucking tree. Oop.
Yeah. Well,
that's
the thing. I think, I think we can both agree that whatever Bigfoot is, it's a primate of some type.
Yes, what I think it is.
Right. And primates, not only do they have intelligence, but they have the ability to reason.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And by reasoning, thinking and solving problems. And these rascals somehow they're beating the game cams. And it's not because
they are. They certainly are.
The skeptics will say, "Oh, there's not any photos on game cams because Bigfoot doesn't exist." Well, that's not the answer, because I guarantee you they exist, but they're beating the camera somehow. So either the guys that are placing these in the woods are just have incredibly bad luck, or they're not putting them further enough back in the woods to get any activity, or the creatures are figuring them out, saying, "Hey, that's a game camera. Don't go near it." Somehow.
Yeah.
It's beyond me.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I don't know if they know that it's a camera and will take their picture, but they know it's something foreign, and they know that you're putting it out there to point at them, and so they avoid it. Right. I mean, I don't know. That may not be the actual answer. It sounds good to me.
They got to know. They got to figure out that that's not natural. That didn't come from nature. And if it didn't come from nature, it's got to be related to those old hairless, two-legged things walking around.
Yeah, it's weird. But on the opposite side, man, the people that are actually out there with video cameras and stuff, and they're actually seeing them, even if it's from a distance or whatever, somebody should have caught them on one of those cameras by now. And maybe some people have. I believe some people have. Possibly. Not anything
I believe
clear.
I believe some people have got footage of them, but it was probably at such a distance you couldn't tell.
Right. It's exactly. But those somebody's should come up with a good video, man. And it's probably not going to be me. Like I said, because I'm not. My money is on Matt from Central Florida Bigfoot, man. That guy's camera guy. He's a photojournalist, man. If anybody's got a chance of getting some really good shit, if he ever comes across one, I guarantee you he'll get some good shots of it.
Oh, yeah.
They ain't going to be blurry. It ain't going to be blobby. You're going to look at it and go, holy shit, that's a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
He's
one that introduced me to gimbals, and I was like, wow. He's walking along with this camera, and, he's just doing the bumpity bump, but that camera's just steady, rock solid. I'm like, oh man, I gotta have that.
Yeah. And see, that's another thing that Sasquatch has done for me. It's introduced me to different people with different skill sets that can come in real handy, and I can learn from them, So that's another positive thing that it's done. It's made me want to get better at certain stuff, right? Because when I was investigating by myself, I didn't worry about it, right? And I didn't have anybody to bounce off anything or anybody, to bounce off of. And nobody, there to kind of, help me figure out how to do like a proper investigation of something, Or even the first time I ever tried to cast footprints, how to mix the stuff and what consistency it should be. Right. So I didn't have, any of that. But now, I got all these people with different skill sets, man. And if I need to draw on them, well, then I got this pool of people that I can draw on their skills or something. So that's another positive about it.
It's kind of handy knowing people. It is.
Yeah.
If you come
it's
up
like,
with,
I guess, go ahead.
I was just saying, it's kind of handy knowing people. If you come up with a DNA sample or something other, you make a phone call. Hey, dude, I got a DNA sample here. Who do I who do I give that to or whatever? Where can I get it tested? And they're like, oh yeah, you should call this number here, blah blah blah, or call these people. They're really looking for that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If I need some information, I can call Steve and go, Steve, you know anything about this? Or if I need to know something about cameras, I got Matt to draw on.
Yeah.
If I got some audio I need analyzed, I got several people I can contact that are well versed in that. Curious Cryptid, Steve is pretty good at that type of thing too.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, Curious Cryptid is a genius, dude.
So,
He's pretty sharp. I'm gonna brag on him a little bit.
So
and make some of the greatest videos.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and if people anybody hasn't been to his channel yet, you need to go and watch some of the stuff that he puts up, man. It's like, you want to talk about thinking about stuff in a way that you hadn't thought about it before. I'm telling you, I say that at the beginning of my shows, but if you really want to talk about thinking about something in a way you hadn't thought about it before, you need to watch Steve's stuff on his channel, man.
He's pretty cool. I love the scenery stuff he does too, man. He lives in an area, one of the most beautiful regions in the entire United States, I believe. Of course, that's pretty much describes the entire Pacific Northwest. All that terrain, beautiful mountainous terrain. It's just beautiful. I love it. And like any dirt road or any logging road you drive down, there's going to be a nice creek or stream at the end of it, and just there you are, man. You're in the middle of nature. Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's such a, once you get to know these people, and you start gathering people around you that want to go about things in a similar fashion, and I'm speaking of the people who want to try to conduct as scientific of an investigation as possible, and there's all kinds of, the skills that different people bring to the table is awesome.
That's it. And I think that's what it amounts to. Like-minded people working together to solve the mystery. And like Steve came up with the campaign to stop the woonacy. And I really
stop the woonacy.
That hits the nail on the head. If we're going to learn about this subject, we need to be comparing notes that are from real possibilities, not Bigfoot stepped out of the UFO and hopped on his unicorn and rode rode to see the Loch Ness monster in outer space. That happened. No.
Well, and there is some, absolutely, there's some pretty far out stuff, man, and as of now, that's part of what I do. I guess that would be the research part. I always like to rather say investigator myself, because that's what I like to be doing. I like to be out in the woods investigating, basically.
Right.
But research, I do. That's part of the research part. Is I watch just about everything,
right.
And I make my judgments accordingly. So look, when it basically comes down to it, Chris, if you can, what I rely on in order for me to believe something is true or real, evidence. Show me evidence. Show me evidence of Bigfoot getting out of a flying saucer.
Right. And
I will go, crap. Bigfoot got out of a flying saucer. Holy shit. Just that's it. Just give me evidence. I mean, and that's for both sides. I mean, if you're going to say, well, a Bigfoot is, coming around my house all the time, and he's taking, these vegetables out. Well, okay, maybe let's check it out. Let's see if we can get some footage
Put a camera
of this
up. Yeah.
Bigfoot that comes and borrows garlic from you or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
If you can show me the evidence, that's what it all comes down to with me is evidence.
Right.
I have no evidence. So, I mean, if I come across it, I'm going to offer it up and say, well, here's some evidence, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well, unfortunately, Joe, you have eyewitness testimony, which not going to mean anything to anybody but you.
Doesn't mean anything
when it comes
but
to the scientific community, you know.
Yeah,
and that's just the way
yeah,
you got to look at it. And
yeah.
it doesn't matter
Well,
what other people may think. It's what you know.
right. Yeah, I mean, look, for example, I mean, I don't know, you know, at the expo, Steve had me get up and talk about my encounter, which
Yeah.
I was really nervous because talking in front of actual people makes me nervous.
Oh yeah.
But you know, and so like talk about the scientific, yeah, Dr. Meldrum heard my encounter.
Yeah.
Now, whether he believes I did or not, I don't know. We never asked. He never said, "Well, I don't believe that," or anything like that. And that's okay because you know why? When it comes down to it, again, I don't have the evidence that I actually saw that thing. You got my word that I've seen it, right? Lots
It
of
don't
people,
matter.
you got their word, and you know, for anybody else, like you know, you could tell me, and Joe, I ran across a Sasquatch the other day, and because I pretty sure that you wouldn't just bullshit me for no reason. Even if you didn't have a picture of that Bigfoot, I'd be like, wow, cool, man. And I would believe you, right?
Well, you know, there's nothing
I
to
was
be
in the
gained
same
by telling.
situation. Anybody could tell me I saw a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And the first thing I'm going to is what I won't do first thing is go, you got a picture of it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's nothing to be gained by telling stories about Bigfoot, but you're going to find that a lot of people do.
Wow.
And
Absolutely.
when you know, like because I'm in this area, and we do have some sightings. It's not like on a daily occurrence, and I don't have tens of thousands of people knocking on my door every day to tell me about their sighting. But when I do meet the occasional person and say, "Hey, you're Chris Bennett, right?" I said, "Yeah, yeah." They said, "You still do that Bigfoot show with Steve Kulls?" Yeah, yeah. Well, man, I'll tell you what, I had a sighting over here at so and so, and let me tell you about it. Okay, lay it on me. I want to hear it.
Absolutely.
And I will sit and listen to every word, and I'll even take note. Where was it at? I'll put where on the map was it at? And I'll mark all this stuff down because later on I might want to go looking around that area. And you just got to take it with a grain of salt. Now, if somebody comes up and tells me their Bigfoot story, and it starts out with, "I was out there and Bigfoot stepped off of the UFO." Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to put
a little
much credit
skeptical.
in that, because
Yeah.
I don't think the two are related, and
Yeah.
that was probably a
Well,
mental health issue more than likely.
yeah. Well, then you're running into the area which is called extraordinary claims
Yeah,
require extraordinary evidence.
right.
You could tell me you saw a Bigfoot, and I'm probably going to take it your word. And I'm going to ask you, cool, what it looked like,
Yeah,
how much of it did you see, etc.
right. Yeah,
Because I can, I don't
take a
know, I
stab.
don't have statistics to back this up, Chris,
Yeah,
but I will bet you that probably about of all the credible sightings, um, I can or not even let's take out the word credible. 90%, I will say, probably of the people who actually have an encounter with a Sasquatch are people that aren't going to have a picture of one.
yeah,
Now, I'm not talking about people that are out there saying that, that are on the internet, blob squatches, stump squatches,
right.
pareidolia, and etc. I'm talking about normal, everyday people like in the chat, us, whatever. Right. They're going to be out somewhere in the woods fishing. Well, not everybody runs out there with a camera.
Right.
Or videotapes when they're out there, right? So they're going to run across a Sasquatch. You're going to be like, you got a picture? Fuck. I'm not a movie producer, man. I don't carry, they're not carrying video cameras, out there.
Right.
And I know people can say, well, everybody's got a phone with a video camera. But
they do.
Most people aren't going to think of that.
Well,
right?
Yeah,
if it's in
how
your
fast
pocket,
are you? How fast are you on the draw? There's Bigfoot. Can you get your phone out of your pocket before it's gone? No.
Right. Right.
You can't.
Get it out. Hit the right button to get the camera. So yeah, I think that a lot of people, man, a good 90% is, they're not gonna have a picture of the Bigfoot they saw.
Right.
Now there's some of us, there's some of us that I won't go out in the woods now without a video camera running.
Yeah.
Every time I go out, man, I got a video camera running.
Yeah.
Every time. I don't care if all I'm seeing are freaking chipmunks and squirrels. The video camera's running just in case. Yeah.
In that case, it's a good idea to always have something. But see, because you had your previous sighting, now to be prepared when you're in the wilderness, in the woods, anywhere, and be ready to go at a moment's notice. To have that camera ready. Boom, okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, but the average person.
I'm hoping that's what it turns out like.
Yeah. Well, the average person who's out enjoying a hike in nature or in the national park or wherever, or going down a whole logging road, they have no idea, no thought about seeing Bigfoot whatsoever. And then all of a sudden they round a bend and then boom, there's a big hairy thing standing in front of them, or, they're like, what the heck?
Or crosses the trail in front of them or something.
99.999 whatever % of people, it's going to be, they're just out there and they just have an accident. It's like, they had no idea that there was even a Bigfoot in the world. And all of a sudden, pow, one pops up in front of them and they're like in shock. And then you got the guys that are out there looking for it probably on a daily basis, who probably have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than they'll ever have of seeing a Bigfoot.
Yeah, probably. I do think that they're rare. Like I said, I used to think a lot differently, but over the years, man, thinking about it, and then I'm like, I don't think the population is as big as a lot of people want it to be. I would love it. I'd like to think, oh yeah, there's hundreds of them in New York, or even thousands, but that's not a realistic number to be thinking of, man. I don't think there's hundreds or thousands in this state. And I'd be surprised if their population over the entire continent is more than probably about 20,000. I
don't know. I couldn't even
begin
to make a guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
No
but anyway,
whatsoever.
But it's so rare. And I think that's why, man, it's really rare to come across one. You're either going to come across one most likely accidentally. We all know this, right?
Yeah.
Because you never get to see one when you're actually looking for one. But, and maybe that's another reason. That's another reason why we don't have some real good, everybody wants to point to Patterson, Gimlin 55 years ago. Pretty much the only thing, right? But think about it. What you were just saying about how fast it is, even people that have cameras that are looking for them, that can happen so quick. Most encounters don't last like minutes, at least not the ones I've found credible. Most of most of the encounters, they've lasted seconds.
Seconds, yes.
You know, and that's not a lot of time to get something filmed.
Right.
That's not a lot of time to get something filmed.
I believe personally, I believe that once these creatures realize they've been spotted by you, or they walk up on you and you're right there face to face looking at each other, their first instinct is to book it. They're gone.
Mm-hmm.
They don't hang around.
Yeah.
But I think though, and this is just my own opinion, that if they're watching you and if they think they've not been seen, they're observing you and you have no idea that they're anywhere in the world, I think that's when you can get them to hang around some. But once they realize that they've been made, their cover is blown, wow, give me 3 steps, mister. You never see me no more. They're gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's the only reason why, I got such a good look at Rasta, is because it was a surprise to both of us.
Daniel Weeks says 1.5 seconds for me.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. I mean, that whole encounter that I described, I mean, it takes longer to tell the encounter than the encounter actually took to take place. I mean, it was pretty quick. And of course time stretches out, and you look back on it and you go, damn, it seems like it was an hour, but it was less than 5 minutes. I guarantee it was less than that, probably less than 3 minutes. Right. And when you're looking at something that big though, that seems like an eternity though, but it happens real quick. I mean, boom, 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 and and next thing I know, I'm back in my Jeep, breathing heavy, and my hands are shaking too much to put the keys in the ignition. Right?
Yeah.
But it's so
I think
quick.
He did real good with it, though. I think he did real good with it. Oh.
Well, and that's the thing, man. That's something, whether I can ever prove to anybody that Sasquatch exists.
Yeah.
That's something I'm going to be able to take to my grave, man, no matter what, right? And that goes for anybody who's had an encounter. Nobody can take that away from you. People might not believe it.
Yeah.
Some people might not believe it. There's a lot of people out there who will believe you. Some people might not, but they can't take that away from you, man. They cannot take that away from you, whether they believe it or not. They can't take that away from you.
Well, that's the thing, if you have an encounter, and you can't obtain any evidence from that. I mean, unless you ran up and grabbed a handful of hair.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to take much evidence away from that encounter, not physical evidence anyway. And even if you were like lightning fast and you got your camera up and you took a picture or a video, everyone in the world is going to be saying, "Wow, this could be Photoshop. This could be fake. This could be a guy in a suit." That photo and that video is nothing. It's not evidence. It's not evidence. I know you might think, "Well, gosh, if I got good HD video really close and I could get some good angles, that would prove it." No, it won't. It will not prove it.
No, video alone.
If you go by video, right? If we were to go by video evidence, then we'd have to say that we could argue that Godzilla versus King Kong really exists. It really happened.
Yeah.
It happened on screen, but.
Yeah, no, we've already said. I mean, just video alone is not going to do it.
Yeah.
You'd have to have everything: video, the physical evidence of the hairs and the foots and the DNA, all of it.
If you had like video combined with like DNA evidence, okay, this is a video of the Bigfoot, tripping the DNA evidence trap, and that's where it pinched his finger. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Then you could use the DNA evidence you gathered to say, well, we got DNA of Bigfoot, and this is him leaving his finger in the trap or whatever, that might work. That might work.
Yeah.
But even, as far as that goes, even if you have DNA evidence, well, what's that really prove?
Yeah, well, you're right. 'Cause you don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, there's not a type specimen on file, so you have DNA evidence of some unknown primate.
Unknown primate.
We also have DNA evidence of some unknown primate in bones they found in the Denisovo
Sure.
caves. That there's an ancient primate DNA that still yet to be identified. Nobody's identified what it is yet. So that we got proof that it exists, whatever it was, or it existed, because we had the DNA from the bones from the Denisovan dig.
Right.
But we don't know what that is, and I
Right.
think Bigfoot would be treated the same way. Well, we have evidence of primate DNA, but we don't really know what it is.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, I would think that their DNA is going to differ from ours, just like even though everybody likes to bring up the fact about, well, we're 96, 98% chimp DNA, match and blah, 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 which is true, but it also depends on what you're looking at too when it comes to that DNA. But like gorillas, but they're different. Chimps are different. So, if Bigfoot is a primate, like it looks like, and it's like of the great ape family, like we are, I think its DNA is probably going to vary, in the same manner, right? I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a DNA guy. I could be just talking right out of my ass right now, for all I know.
Well, there are the DNA guys that could break it down with the help of a nice computer and identify all the strands and stuff, and say, well, this comes from that, this comes from that, and they could break it down that way. But they really don't have a type specimen to compare it with, so they can only guess what this came from or what it seemed like it would be from. But that's the thing. For all this time, I have been on the no kill reservation, and I've been saying, if you want to see Bigfoot, great, look at them, take pictures of it, whatever, but don't kill one, man, because there's probably not that many of them. But I tell you what, here lately, I've been of the mind that I'm not sure the no kill is the way to go. I think maybe we need to have one on file. I believe that the first one needs to be brought in so we can have a specimen to prove that they are real and they do exist, and they need to be left alone if nothing else. Oh, you muted out, Joe. Microphone's muted, bud.
That's because my dog. My dog was barking, so I muted it. So
I have that issue with dogs sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd hate to have to kill one just to prove they exist, because I mean, I figure eventually, man, and it may be a long time from now, even still. Eventually, I think one's going to get creamed by a semi. Eventually,
yeah.
And
that's been my hope for years. Yeah, that maybe one of them would stray across a interstate sometime or another. But
yeah, and I don't care how superhuman some people think the Bigfoot is, and nothing can affect them, and you can shoot them and they'll walk away, dude. If a Sasquatch gets hit by a freaking semi truck with a full trailer going 65 miles an hour down a freeway, that's a dead Sasquatch. I'm sorry. He hit head on, dude. He ain't getting up from that. You know,
Well,
he's not getting
you
up
know,
from that, and I think eventually that's going to happen, probably.
well, I have been hoping that one would turn up. They would find a body where one had died from natural causes, or maybe even unnatural. Maybe had a fall or something. Uh,
Right?
but still to this day, no bodies have shown up. Uh,
No.
None have been hit by cars. I mean, there's been the odd stories that, yeah,
Hmm.
even here in my hometown of Horse Cave, there's a story of one got hit by a car,
Oh yeah.
and yeah,
Huh.
and these strange characters came in and they took the body and dug a hole with a backhoe and buried it deep. And then later on, they came back and removed the body and stuff like that. Just
Mm,
more than likely, I don't believe that any of that crap. I think it's
right.
all just a story.
Yeah.
Bigfoot
Yeah, that's
Hill,
kind of
yeah,
weird that here around in my area, I've never run across any claims of anybody hitting one with their car.
yeah.
That's kind of, yeah. Well, I
Well,
mean, generally, but I think the reason why eventually the reason I say that eventually it's going to happen, and maybe a while, but eventually it's going to happen is because I mean we just keep taking up more and more and more and more space. You
yeah,
know, we keep limiting the space that they can be in. I mean, eventually there's going to be so many roads that they're not going to have any choice but to be crossing roads all the time.
right, right.
And eventually, man, I mean, yeah, I think one's going to get creamed by a semi, man.
Well,
Eventually,
there's
because of
still
that.
lots of wide open areas in the United States, and there is lots of
Yeah.
wilderness that's not been developed yet.
Hmm.
And they've got to be uh, mostly in those areas, or else they would be found eventually.
I would think
But
so. Yeah.
they are still sighted in some oddball places sometimes. And
Hmm.
I wouldn't put much credibility in somebody seeing one in Central Park in New York City, but you know, but
Yeah.
if you see one in the Pine Barrens or Jersey, well, that's yeah, that's pretty good size area.
Yeah. I've never been to the Pine Barrens, but I mean, I've heard descriptions of Pine Barrens. I mean, I know
Yeah,
what almost everybody else knows about the Pine Barrens
right.
that hasn't actually been there.
Yeah,
So yeah, it seems like that's quite a swath of pretty deep wilderness right there.
yeah.
You know, and I
Well,
gotta tell you, man,
mhm.
yeah, the whole thing about Jersey Devil and all that doesn't because I don't buy that. That's a myth, you know, mythical made up story, and I get it. It's a good one. It's a good
Yeah,
story, but
yeah.
I still gotta tell you, man, the Pine Barrens. Just the name sounds like I don't want to go in there. Um, and if I ever heard some weird, you know, Jersey Devil type scream in there, dude, I think I'd just faint dead away, dude, and just like I'm done.
Well, there's some stories that start off with a really scary story. For some reason, maybe they made up a tale to where they didn't want the kids to go in the Pine Barrens by themselves. Because of bears, really. But they made
Right?
made up some kind of tale. Well, don't go in there because it's going to be the devil man thing or whatever. The Jersey
Yeah.
Devil's going to get you.
Jersey Devil get you.
It's possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't know. Could there be Sasquatch in New Jersey? I don't know. I suppose, like, hey, man. Well, like you say, depending upon what the actual population is of them
Yeah.
on the whole continent, we always say if there's food, water, shelter, and I go by the thing that if it can sustain a population of black bears, Sasquatch
Right.
could live there too.
Sure.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have to think that they would probably be smarter than black bears when it came to surviving because they have the a power of reasoning and to being able to think whereas a black bear would mostly. I'm not saying black bears are stupid, but they rely on their instincts a lot to tell them what to do,
Oh, absolutely,
rather than
absolutely.
reasoning their way out of a problem.
And I didn't realize just how nearsighted black bears actually are. They're pretty nearsighted.
Are they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm scared of
yeah.
bears. I really am.
Well, you know what? The bears up here, and now I've seen some pictures and some real ones. They're not fake. These are actual hunters that I know. There's some pictures I've seen. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that the black bears here in New York got that big. Because I've seen some pictures of some pretty big bears, black bears, and I'm like, wow, that's big for a black bear. Because most of the ones that I've ever seen, and I haven't seen hundreds or anything like that. But out of the times that I've seen a bear up here, and I could count how many times I've seen a bear here on one hand. They haven't, they've been a fairly good size, but nothing huge. I'd say probably maybe 250, 300 pounds, and they're mostly pretty timid. The males are, the solitary males are pretty timid. They don't want to be around you anyway.
Well, we have bears, black bears in Kentucky, and most of them are over on the eastern part of the state, and that's fine.
Yeah.
More power to them. They're welcome to stay over there because I'm over here close to the middle.
Yeah.
And there's not very many around here. Matter of fact, up until I think maybe last year or maybe the year before last, somebody did make a video of one going across the field here, just right up the road from my house, and I'm like, oh no, man. I hope we don't start having these things show up and start, living around here again, because they used to. This whole area has a lot of names. Like one little community is called Bear Wallow, and stuff like that, where there used to be a lot of black bear in this area.
Yeah.
But I guess my ancestors here probably killed most of them out because they're not around this part of Kentucky anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get
over
here, eastern state, there are a lot over there.
Well, here in New York, there's a population of about 6,000 to 8,000 bears, and here in this part of the state, there's about maybe 15 to 20% of that 8,000 here, and then the rest are pretty much in the Adirondacks and central New York. So there's only about 15 to 20% of them here. So it is pretty rare to see one here. I mean, they're here. I see their tracks and the scat more than anything.
Right.
I usually don't see the bear that left the track or the scat. The last time we saw one was Sally and I were camping, and there was just like this little clearing on the other side of our camp, and we saw a black bear there. She saw it first, and she was kind of just growling. She's at the edge of our camp, staring, and I saw it out there, and I got excited at first, Chris, because all I saw was this big black shape, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, she was growling, and then all of a sudden it started to get up, and I thought, oh my God, is it standing up? And of course, Rasta, but then when it got up, it was a bear. It was a bear, and it just got up on its haunches, and it didn't stand straight up or anything, but it got up on its haunches and kind of. I know it heard her growling.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of bear through like the window of my truck or my car. I've seen them like off in the distance, and that's fine by me. As long as they're over there and I'm here behind my window, I'm fine. I'm like, oh, look at them, aren't they cute? Oh, look at that, that's great. But when I lived in New Mexico, I was fishing out of a creek, a little stream that came out of the mountains, and I'm over there minding my business, fishing in this little stream, and I'm not catching anything, which Okay, no big deal. I'm still fishing, enjoying myself. And then a black bear steps out of a bush, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to
That's
do?
kind
You
of a
know,
surprise.
I had,
Yeah.
had a fishing pole, but no gun, no nothing. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what now? Okay, but I think maybe it was probably just as scared of me as I was of
Yeah.
it. Really,
Well, black bears, if
which
you do that, if you make noise and hey bear,
yeah,
go away
yeah,
bear, make yourself
yeah,
real big and stuff.
yeah.
Mostly that'll scare them away. Mostly.
But if I was
I'm
taking
not
bets
saying
on
every single time,
if I was
but
taking
you
bets
weren't
on that
taking bets on it.
situation, I would bet that I was more scared than it was.
You think?
Yeah, they scare me. Okay, but yeah,
Yeah, it's funny. It's because all the time I've been camping out here, I've never had a bear come into the camp.
yeah,
And I'm glad because I don't want a bear coming into camp.
right, yeah.
But it's kind of funny. It's like I don't want bears coming in my camp, but Sasquatch want to come in my camp. Come on in, man. Come on.
Oh no,
Bring your
I
big,
wouldn't want them coming to my camp either. No.
bring your big hairy butt on over here, man. Bring it on. Come on. Come on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would really. But yeah. So, but now bears are pretty easy to scare off. Now, and if it comes to if you actually a black bear actually attacks you, then it's totally different than with a grizzly. You don't with a grizzly, you curl up in a ball, protect your vital parts, and kind of hope he doesn't kill you.
Yeah.
With a black bear, man, you fight for all you're worth, man. When it comes to a black bear, do whatever it takes to get that bear to stop. Poke him in the eyes, punch him in the nose, anything. Yeah.
I have got bad knees. I've got a bad back and everything else, man. But I'll tell you what, if a bear catches me, they say they're really, really fast. But if he catches me, yeah, when he does catch me, he's going to be out of breath. I guarantee it because I am going to do some running.
Yeah. The thing that worries me, man, is mountain lions, man. And I know DEC will say there's no population of mountain lions in New York, and I'm saying bull crap on that.
Yeah.
I think there is. I've heard one myself. Pretty damn sure it was one. Molly heard it too. And people have seen them and taken pictures of them. So
that's the thing, that seems to be the common explanation is the Department of Fish and Wildlife will say, oh, well, there's no information to suggest that there's a breeding population in this area where that one was supposedly sighted. Well, it doesn't really matter if there's a breeding population or not. If there's one there, it's there. We don't know why it's there. Maybe it caught a ride off a semi truck or something. I don't know. But, these things happen. We had that situation over at Mammoth Cave. There was people reporting a sightings of a mountain lion in the park of all places. Well, that's what it was. They were catching reports of a mountain lion from different areas of the park. And of course, the superintendent was just like, "Oh yeah, you saw a mountain lion, huh? Okay, well, yeah. All right, you have a good vacation." And just more or less just blowing them off. And finally, he was either him or some of his employees in the main office over there where they took care of all the administration stuff. The mountain lion ran across the parking lot, jumped on top of a car, and jumped over another car. And they're like, they're going to work in the morning. They're like, ooh, hey, that's a mountain lion. So they go inside and tell the guy, well, they did finally put out a notice in the Park City newspaper, local newspaper there, that said, well, we've been getting reports that there could possibly be some big cat activity in the cave area. So if you're in the area, here's what to do in case you're approached by a mountain lion. And it tells you all these little, keep an eye on small children, make yourself bigger, don't run away, Well, yeah, okay. Like who's not going to be watching their children anyway? But
Yeah.
They finally, and it still wasn't an admission. Oh yeah, we've got them over here. It was just there have been reports. So if case you see one, keep this in
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah. Well, they're sneaky, man. They're sneaky. And I've seen some scary videos out there dealing with mountain lions.
Oh God, yeah.
I saw
Yeah,
that
with them
one of the
things, man,
guys.
If you don't eat that porterhouse, I'm never getting you a porterhouse again.
Well, with those mountain lions, Joe, you go ahead, Joe. With those mountain lions, you don't know if they're doing their job. You don't even know they're there until they've got their teeth sunk into the back of your neck.
Yeah.
Because those are surprise hunters. They like stalk around, and then when Joe's not doing anything but minding his own business, checking out nature, next thing he knows, he's got a mountain lion on his back with his fangs stuck in his neck.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah. I say that's the way I'm gonna end up actually dying, man. Is because
Donald said the lion killed by the car in Connecticut was said to have DNA from the Dakotas. So yeah,
well, you know what? That makes sense because
yeah,
from what I heard, when they were going to, I'd read something like it has to be a couple years ago now, where they were actually saying that they were thinking or they were going to do a project. Now, supposedly they never did it, but they were going to do a project where they were going to try to repopulate the eastern cougar by importing western cougars into the state.
Yeah.
Because the eastern cougar hasn't been in this state for I don't know how many years now. It's been a long time. So they were going to take the western cougar and introduce a breeding pair into here. Which there's not much difference between the two species. They're almost virtually identical, but
right. But that's the thing. They don't ask the general public about this first before doing this, and that's a mistake, I think, because I have yet to see the petition that's asking for cougars and mountain lions, whatever, to be imported so we could have a breeding population. I don't think anybody wants one of those in their area.
Well, the reason why now is because, of course, here, New York State is, I mean, there's a lot of dairy farm, etc. You would have, and there's no way to guarantee, like, even if they release them up in the Adirondacks, which is what they would have done or probably did, since there are cougars here, you can't make them stay there, right? I mean, you can in a way, there is, I know there's forestry people that make, but if those cougars that you put up there and there's a population that gets, I mean, how are you going to stop them from leaving there and spreading out into the areas where the dairy farms are?
You can't. That's right.
And that's the reason, I mean, this state originally had cougars. It was part of the environment. But the problem is now, we have so much livestock now in this state. I mean, there's lots of woods and forests and stuff like that too. But there's a lot of farms. So it's the same way with the wolves. I mean, we have apparently they got a wolf here in New York. They tested the DNA and it was gray wolf. And we haven't had wolves in New York State in a long time. So, but I don't know if that means gray wolves are coming back. Where that one came from, I don't know. But
a local guy lives up Mumfordville, Kentucky. He shot a wolf. It's been several years back now, maybe 4 or 5 years back, or maybe even longer than that now. But they were supposed to run a DNA test on that to find out where it came from, and yet nothing ever came out of it. They had done a story on the Courier Journal in Louisville newspaper up there. And I contacted the reporter on it. Well, is there any updates on this story? did they find out whether this was a wolf that had been in captivity and somebody had released it, or did it come from Yellowstone Park, or where where did this come from?
Right.
And no further details were released on that.
Hmm.
But they made it a point to mention, oh well, the teeth had tartar buildup, which would be similar to a condition that it might have if it's been kept in captivity. That's interesting. Well, where did DNA
Yeah.
come from?
Right. Right. And
I'm,
kind of does segue into the back into the Bigfoot thing, because look,
Mhm.
if you get misinformation about these regular animals, right? Like, no, there's no cougar here, and there are. What's to say that I'm not a conspiracy guy. I don't, that's not where my brain automatically goes.
right.
But what if they're like, you know, they know that there's Sasquatch here in New York, but oh no, Sasquatch doesn't exist. It's like, yeah, but that they're out there, man, and you're covering it up.
Well, yeah, it makes you think that if they have, if you have reason to suspect that they're obviously covering up a known animal like a cougar or a wolf,
Right.
then you would suspect that it would be fairly reasonable that they would cover up a unknown animal like a Bigfoot or Sasquatch. So it doesn't really inspire much trust in our local authorities, does it?
Yeah, I
And
mean, it's
not to get on the conspiracy theory, bandwagon or
yeah,
whatever. We don't.
yeah,
I don't have any
yeah,
aluminum foil to put over my head or anything. But
right,
I know they did this. They kind of covered it up at the Mammoth Cave National Park because they didn't want to affect the tourism. They didn't want people afraid to come to the park because there
right,
could be a mountain lion loose in the park. They wanted to
right.
keep those tourist dollars coming in.
Mhm. Yeah, kind of like he did in the movie Jaws.
Yeah,
He didn't want
exactly.
to shut down. He didn't want to shut down the beach, even though he knew there was a dangerous shark out there.
That's a good comparison, Joe.
Got to keep the dollars coming in, man. We're not shutting this beach down for no shark. Same way, we're not shutting these woods down for no Sasquatch. But yeah, that's funny though. I mean, yeah, like I said, my mind doesn't. But I'm only human, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes a little bit that sneaks in there. Sometimes.
Well, the thing is, with those mountain lions, that's a known animal, and
Yeah.
it's not like there have never been any in Kentucky. Sure, we had population of them at one point. It's not like they don't. They say there's not a breeding population now, but
Mm-hmm.
what does it matter if there's somebody seeing one every now and then again? Okay, well, there's one here or there's one over there, so maybe they can get together and work out something.
Right. Right. Well, yeah, if one's male, one's female.
For some reason, they seem to be some of them hanging around the state. So I don't know if we got a breeding population or not, but
Yeah.
they're here for
And
some reason.
there's something I found out about cougars that I didn't know, that sometimes, like, mostly we see cougars and they're solitary for the
Yeah.
most part until it's breeding time. But actually, there's been where brothers from the same litter will hang out together for quite a while
Hmm.
with each
That's
other.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not know cougars would do that. I saw a video that it was there was 3 of them, and they were all males from the same litter, um, and they were all just hanging together, and they weren't solitary at all. So
Wow.
I'm like, wow, that's something about cougars, that a behavior I did not know, because we've always seen solitary cougar, but But yeah, that's how I'm going to die as a cougar. Cougar's going to get me because um,
Yeah, if it
they're the
does go,
only
you'll never know it.
they're
You'll
the
be
only big cat. No, I will because they're the only big cat that can purr.
Yeah.
They can actually purr, right? It's the only big cat that can still purr, and that's what's going to kill me. Is one day there's going to be a cougar, and he's going to purr at me, and I'm going to be, oh, sweet little kitty, do you want some robins? And that's it, dude. I'm done.
Well, I've
You
always been
want
a
some
cat
patting?
person. Like
I love
cats.
cats, man. I love my cats.
Love the dogs too, but let's just be honest. I'm really a cat person at heart, but I love the dogs. Once they get into your heart, you just can't.
Yeah,
You can't not love them.
I'm very curious as to how Sally would ever react if she ever saw a Sasquatch. And I don't know that she hasn't. I can't ask her.
Yeah.
Hey, Sally, you ever seen a Sasquatch? Oh, she heard me call her name. Now she's over here.
Well, does
But,
Sally
yeah,
like to roam around the woods when you're out there trekking around, or do you
absolutely she
let her go
does.
looking around?
Yep. I don't usually let her get out of eyesight,
Okay, yeah.
but she'll go out ahead of me quite a ways sometimes. I know one time I was going up this trail and she was ahead of me and she took a left off the trail into the trees and she wasn't gone more than, I don't know, it was a couple of seconds, man. She come tearing back out of the trees, back down the trail towards me and ran right on past. I don't know what the heck it was that she saw, but whatever it was, it scared her.
She didn't want no part of it.
Leaves blowing.
It could be. Yeah.
Could have been a bear.
No, it could
Who
have been
knows?
leaves blowing.
Mick is the eastern cougar. I'm sure it's the eastern cougar is definitely breeding along the eastern section of Canada and USA. They're just being driven a bit further away from the east coast. Well, that makes sense, Mick. It really does. And, there are more reports of those around here
Yeah.
anyway. It's not like a daily occurrence. I won't run up to the store to grab a cup of coffee or whatever, and then somebody say, "Hey, man, did you hear about Joe seeing that cougar today?" No, no. But every now and then, one of the guys maybe checking their game cameras or something says, "Dude, you got to see this. Look at this," and he got a picture of one on his game camera.
Wow. Yeah. I got a bobcat on game cam one time. What fine trackways?
You gotta watch them things too. Those things are mean.
Yeah. Yeah. They can be. Scary sounding too, man.
I am reading the chat, Joe, so just bear with me.
Oh yeah, I was too. Yeah. Trackway says my dog uses me as squatch bait. I don't know, but she's a hell of a she's good to have out in the woods, man, because she saw that bear. She knew that bear was there before I did. She's a good early warning system for stuff. I mean, I did get that feeling, you get that creepy feeling, the hair rise on the back of your neck.
Yeah.
Like something's here that shouldn't be here, or something's close that might be dangerous, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she's the one that saw it first before I ever knew it was there.
Well, that's a good point too, Joe. If anybody starts going out into the woods and you start doing your nature treks or hikes for whatever reason, whether you're just out getting exercise and enjoying nature, or you're looking for Bigfoot, want to have your own sighting or something, if you get that feeling and it feels like the hair standing up on the back of your neck, you need to stop and look around, take notice what's around you, because
absolutely.
Yeah, when you feel like the hair standing on the back of your neck, that's because it is, and that is built into your DNA. That's an ancient survival instinct.
Yep.
And what that means is something's going on. You need to check around, at least stop and give everything a good look. What's going on all around you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, usually, like, you can go out in the woods, man, and there's, we've said it before, and I guess it's like our friend Thomas Steenberg said before,
Yeah.
when you go out in the woods, I mean, you've probably got hundreds of eyes on you, right? Because there's all kinds of animals out there.
Right.
You might not see them, but they'll be looking at you. But you don't, like if you're getting looked at by a squirrel, you don't get that kind of a feeling, right? But if you get that kind of feeling, chances are it's a predator.
Yeah.
So it could be a bear, or it could be a cougar, or it could be a Sasquatch. Who knows?
Well,
but
yeah, you wouldn't want to think that it's Freddy Krueger or something going to get you, but you ought to know
right.
that there's something going on and that's
Right.
your smack on the side of the head to say, hey, wake up, stop and look around you. What's around you? Where are you? What are you doing?
Because we do have that
reminder.
innate sense. Because it could be that's a good thing to point out. It could be a person.
Very good. Yes.
And a person that might not be up to no good.
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
I'm going to turn my camera off just for a second, Joe, but I am still here.
All right.
But, I'm going to be turning my camera off. Oh, finding the trackway said that sounds so familiar. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Mick said that he'd volunteer to be Squatch bait for anyone, but no self-respecting Sasquatch would be seen anywhere near him. Yeah, that's the way I feel sometimes.
Well,
that's the way I feel sometimes.
Yeah, the thing is, once you start going out looking for them. I mean, even if you do the research, like you find the area that's had sightings, and then you kind of break that area down on a map. Where's the water? Where are the high spots? Where are the low spots and the terrain? And you start working that area. There's still not a guarantee that you're going to have a sighting.
That's right.
Or even find any evidence.
Yeah. Well,
for some
right.
reason, and I don't know why, but I had in 2010 there was a hot area here, and it just dried up. I think I do have some theories about why it dried up. I'll share that with you off off the stream sometimes, Joe. But areas will just dry up all of a sudden, and it'll go from being a hotbed of activity to nothing's going on here. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, man, I mean, it's been over 2 years now, and out in the area where I had the encounter, I mean, I still go out there and kick because I enjoy camping out there. Yeah. But I haven't seen or heard anything out there for a while, man. Right. I mean, I haven't come across anything that I thought were tracks or looked like tracks. Yeah. Not that I used to come across them that often, but I mean, at least I have seen some out there that, and a good many of them I can't go, well, that's 100%, but it looked like it was probably because there was an actual trackway, even if it was just impressions.
Right.
But I'm not finding that stuff either anymore.
Well, I'm a big believer in anniversaries. So every March the 6th, I wasn't able to do it this year, but every March the 6th, I go out to the specific area where I had an encounter years ago in 2010. And, it's not, never had a second one after that, on in that area. But still, if I'm able, I'll be out there next March the 6th. I missed this one, but I'll be out there next March the 6th anyway if I can, because just on the off chance that maybe that time of year, that week or that day, they're in that area for a period of time. Maybe you get a chance to have another look at one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I mean that's a lot of it that I think some people don't do these things. It's you can't well, and it's funny because I was about to say you can't just go stumbling off into the woods and run across a Bigfoot. But I guess you can because that's exactly what happened to me. But
Yeah.
I guess sometimes you can actually. But mostly, I mean, yeah, if you really want to be able to track these things down or find one or
Right.
whatever, then yeah, that's some of the stuff you really should be doing. Is you find the areas where there's been the most
Right.
reports, and
Right.
you look for all that stuff. I mean, there's actually a lot of research that goes into it.
Oh yeah.
And before you even go to the area to investigate, there's a lot of research that you should be putting into it if you want good results. But then again, sometimes you're not guaranteed those results either, as you mentioned.
That's right. Yeah, it's all about trying to find the best areas to look that would narrow it down, you know, uh, for your time there. What would be the best spot to look? The most common area they would be uh, around, and then
Yeah.
maybe if you could hit the jackpot. You might pop in there one day and like, voila, there's one right there. Okay, but
Yeah.
probably more times than not, you're just going to go out and have a nice walk through nature, and that's okay too. There's nothing wrong
Right.
with that.
And it could be a total possibility that there just aren't typically maybe that's not an area that they normally what happened in my encounter could have just been just a weird random. He was just happened to be in that area. He was probably going somewhere else, but he happened to be in that area. He was hungry, stalking a deer. I mean, I could read a lot into it, but I mean,
Hey, Grasshopper makes a good point here, Joe. He says you'll notice Bigfoot sightings are all random. You won't find them; they find you.
well, absolutely. I
There-
mean, people
there's a lot of
people
truth in
say that
that.
all
Yeah,
the time, and I tend to agree with that. That most most all the time, it's not when you're actually looking for them. If you run across one, it's either going to be that a situation where you're both surprised, or it decided that it didn't care whether you saw it or not.
right.
um,
Well, yeah, I think they're mostly by chance, and I think that
yeah,
if you're watching like YouTube or whatever videos or something, and somebody has like daily video of this is today's Bigfoot encounter, I would think that should be highly suspect because
yeah,
I don't think anybody's going to be having daily encounters and putting video up
well,
on their
again,
this is the Bigfoot I filmed today again.
yeah,
That's
comes down to evidence, man. I
so you
have
got
a
to kind
hard
of
time with people talking about habituation.
right.
First of all, I don't think it's possible to do it with Sasquatch because even though it's a primate, it probably shares certain behaviors with other primates of the great ape family, including us, because we still have some behaviors that are very ape-like ourselves.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Well, I wouldn't think it's impossible for a habituation to happen, but I think it would be highly unlikely because I
Yeah, but they're
personally,
not a
and this
chimp
is
and they're not a gorilla. That was possible with them,
yeah,
but I just don't think they don't want to be studied. First off, I'm pretty sure about that. And I think somebody much smarter than me, and I don't remember his name, said the thing about studying a subject, it's hard to study a subject that doesn't want to be studied.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and if they're that intelligent, which, you know, like I said, I do believe they're more intelligent than chimps or gorillas or orangutans, and
Right.
you know, they don't want to be studied. I don't think you're going to have it. And if somebody who claims that they got them coming around borrowing garlic and asking for flour and all that stuff, and they know them, and they know their family, the whole look, dude, just show me the proof of that.
Yeah.
Show me that, and I'll be like, holy crap, you did it. You did it.
Yeah. To have that type of relationship would
that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Trust. It would suggest trust, that there was a trust between the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, and the human, and that's something personally I just don't see happening, because I don't believe that these creatures would trust humans, and
No.
so especially I don't think they come around borrowing garlic, whatever. But who knows? Even I've left food out, fruit and stuff in certain areas that I knew were hot at the time in 2010, and it was never touched. And normally it wasn't bothered. It's not like that there were, because there were no Bigfoot there at that time. They were there, and they in that area, hot and heavy. But the things that you would normally think that a primate would really grab up and snatch, like an orange. I left oranges out, and I thought, oh, this is going to be great. Of course, gorillas love oranges. Chimpanzees absolutely crazy for oranges. So Sasquatch should, they should be able to smell this from, a long ways off and be attracted to it. No, not at all. Had no interest in it whatsoever. So
yeah. I've done that before, and it took
there.
days. It took days before anything, even, and it was finally deer. I know that's probably what it was, but the one thing that none of them touched, and I didn't understand why not, was cabbage.
Yeah.
They ate the apples, the pears. I think I even put a kiwi out there, and that got eaten. A candy bar that I put out there got eaten by something. I don't know what ate the candy bar, but
what is it?
Pretty sure deer ate the apples and the fruit. But the cabbage, nobody. No, I mean, I figured something would eat the cabbage eventually, right?
Yes. Right.
No, nope. Whatever animals was out there in that forest, they was all cabbage haters apparently.
If nothing else, you would think the odd deer would come along and say, "Oh my God, that's cabbage!" Oh wow.
Yeah, I thought the deer would eat it. They ate everything else.
Yeah.
Except for the candy bar. I think Sasquatch ate the candy bar. No, that is funny because I mean that could have been a raccoon. I don't know. Maybe deer would even eat it. I don't know, but
well,
the candy bar was in a wrapper. They would have had to get it out of the wrapper, right? And I did find the wrapper all tore up, but and I'm wondering, like, would deer like tear into a thing and eat a candy bar? I mean, I could see a raccoon probably doing it.
Yeah.
When
I did the back in 2007 and 2008, I did the 24/7 recording project. I had a remote camera, and it was recording this site, and I would bait that site all the time, and lots of raccoons, lots of possums and other animals, but no Sasquatch.
Yeah, I had cameras trained on that spot for a while too. And the funny thing is that, like I said, eventually the fruit got eaten and everything, but there wasn't a single picture of what was eating that stuff on those cameras. I don't know how that was possible, because the camera was taking pictures, It was taking pictures of me,
Right.
But that fruit and the candy bar and all that got eaten by something, but I didn't get a picture of nothing eating it. No deer.
Yeah.
Nothing. But
look at this.
It's like, that's just weird.
The producer would kindly remind the host of the 10-minute warning.
10-minute warning.
We
Yeah.
have been doing this for an hour and 50 minutes, Joe. I cannot believe it.
Yeah, well, time
must
flies,
have been having
man,
some
when
kind
you're
of
having
fun because time has flown by.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, in
And
recap, man, I mean, so yeah, I'm not all down on, that's not all I do is try to, expose the hoaxers, because that's not really what I do anyway. I mean, if I see it, I'll call it out. If I see bullshit, I'm going to call bullshit. Yes, I will. But that's, there's also just so much positive stuff that Sasquatch has done for me personally. It's what the producer would like to thank both of you. Boy, you can both bullshit. Absolutely. But yeah,
we certainly want to thank our producer tonight.
Yeah, I do, man. Steve, like I said, man, Steve's been a fast becoming a good associate and good friend, man. We had a blast at the expo, and afterwards, that was really fun, man. So I'm looking forward to getting out there again with him.
Yeah.
In the near future.
I hope Steve made some video of the expo. I'd like to see some of that put up on the channel. I enjoy watching.
I know that there is a video. Somebody was filming it, so you have to ask him. Judy Wheeler says, Joe, oh, that's weird though. That's weird. Probably Judy.
Go, Mr. Kulls on the ball. Mrs. Kulls on the ball.
Yeah, Sherry was up in here.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Joe. I am reading Lost in the Chat again. Sorry.
Yeah.
They got a whole conversation
they always make
going
such
on
good.
there.
They always make such good comments.
Never heard of deer eating cabbage. Sweets, yes. Cabbage. Well, I would think that they would like cabbage. I would think.
I mean, I've seen them eat lettuce. I mean, I know cabbage is different than lettuce, but still, I mean, but I mean, you hear stories of, I don't know how true, how much stock you can place in them, but you've heard stories of Sasquatch eating what's called skunk cabbage.
Right.
So I figured if there's a Bigfoot out there, I mean, he's gonna have to eat cabbage, right? So
yeah,
but nothing. No, nothing touched the cabbage at all.
Well, I really can't blame them. I don't like cabbage myself. First time I had an egg roll at a Chinese restaurant, I thought they were like little burritos. I was like, oh my gosh, this is little burritos or something. I don't know. It looks great. Then I took a bite of one. I was like, oh my God, it's got something in it. What is this? And it's full of cabbage. And man, I hate that stuff.
Really? I love cabbage. Well, I like it with corned beef.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I should have done, man. Maybe I should have thrown some corned beef along with the cabbage out there for the Sasquatch. Maybe would have ate that. Never know.
I don't
Never know.
Don't know. Don't know if they're meat eaters or not, Joe. You don't know what they eat. You would think they would be, but don't know. Everything goes nuts for crunchy peanut butter. Finding the track, why says I have heard that.
Crunchy peanut butter. Yeah.
Peanut butter, yeah. That's one of the baits that people has allegedly used for these things to try to draw them in.
Well, everything likes peanut butter, man.
Well, it makes a lot of sense because there's a strong, has a strong odor, and that would carry a little bit. And though primates are not known for having a strong sense of smell,
right?
Dude, I can smell a peanut butter sandwich from across the room.
Yeah.
So it does carry its own smell with it. So
yeah. Oh, Judy. Okay. Now I know Judy meant when she said that was weird was the no video to show what ate the candy bar. I know it's weird. It's weird. I don't have an explanation for it other than, I don't know why the cameras would mess up, but because they were taking perfect pictures of me every time I went out there. I mean, there would be pictures of me on the game cameras. That's why I know they were working.
Right.
But whatever came around to eat that stuff, man, they never took a picture of it, apparently.
Well,
so it is weird.
It just goes to show you the game cameras is not where it's at. And I don't have any idea why it's not working. It should work.
Yeah. I don't really use them.
They're getting better at being hidden too. Some of those companies are making them where they blend right into the bark of a tree, and unless you're, when you're walking, now they've started using game cameras at the Mammoth Cave National Park for the past few years. They placed them in strategic areas around the park for some reason. Okay, now these game cameras are off the normal trek that normal humans would go on a walking trail or something. These will be out in the woods where there's no trails. So, but those are really good, and they're the high dollar ones that blend in very well to the bark on the tree. 3-minute warning.
Yep. Well, that's cool.
Well, look.
Thank you, chat. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
It's cool that you guys tune in to the guest host here. It's hard to fill Steve's shoes when it comes to this show, guys, but hopefully it was fun for me. Absolutely fun for me to do this.
Oh man, it's been a blast, Joe. It's been our honor to have you on here, buddy. Glad to have you. Always enjoy talking with you.
Yeah.
And love listening to you too.
And guys, hit that like button for Chris and Steve, man. You guys like the show. If you like it, then please hit the like button.
Well, I guess
I probably don't have to say subscribe because probably everybody in the chat is subscribed. So
yeah, I'm sure they
are. But if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel too. And if while you're at it and you're subscribing, if you're not subscribed to my channel, you should probably do that too.
Yeah, everybody remember to check out Joe's channel over Western New York Bigfoot. Check him out.
That's
well,
right.
What days you do your show, Joe? Spiel it, dude. Spiel it.
Mondays at 7:00, Sasquatch Random Live, and then Fridays usually at 8:00 with Joe S. Wait a minute, what? And that's where we just cover all the crap in the life that makes me go, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Now comes the part where we throw our heads back and laugh. Ready?
Ready!
That's right. I love it. Remember, guys, what I always say, and I'll say it at the end of this show since I'm guest hosting, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff. And we'll see you from the forest.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, folks, you've been watching Squatch-D TV. Join us each week, Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest on the Bigfoot mystery. As always, we thank you for being our loyal viewers and encourage all to subscribe to our YouTube page at youtube.com/Steve Kulls. As always, have a great week. Stay safe. God bless. And keep on squatching.